My name is Dhruval Jesha and I am going to share my Python code which is related to taking an MCQ based exam. Now, at this point in time, when this project was coded, we had a lot of online applications going into the market because we had the COVID-19 pandemic and a lot of things happened because of them. So, one of the reasons why I decided to go with this application was because a lot of faculties usually found it very hard or a bit difficult, especially in tier 3 cities and villages, more effectively to set the question papers. So I came up with a solution, and that is to just make an Excel sheet about your questions, give just options to the students, and then we'll automatically select everything. We'll do a random selection, and therefore the chances of copying is decreased. More importantly, we'll also do a video proctoring thing, so the chances of copying even still further reduces down. So this is the code walkthrough for the same. Now I have imported tkinter for the same. Now tkinter is a GUI based Python library. You can also use a PySimple GUI, or if you want to use your same application, if you want to code it for Android and the same for an iOS or an Windows or anything like that, you can also switch to Kiwi. Those are the two options essentially available with you. You can select any one of them essentially. So at first point, I have imported tkinter. The second thing is that I have used a few images just for GUI perspective. I haven't used them way more judiciously. They are just random to just give a look at it and to just like feel a bit of an exam kind of thing. It is not an exact one. And therefore, I have used PIL for the same, essentially to use the image and image TK, which helps me generating images in a tkinter application. XLRD is for Excel reading and writing. Now, this is essentially for all files which have an extension of .xls. If you have a .xlsx, nowadays in the newer versions of XLRD and XLWT, which is for reading and writing respectively, you won't get the luxury to read or write an .xlsx file format. So it has to be a .xls file, or you might switch to pandas for the same. Then you get the luxury to do it in multiple ways, whether it is a JSON file or a CSV file, or even any type of an Excel file with any kind of an extension possible. So whether it is a .xls or a .xlsx, you might go for the same. I have, for this project perspective, I have just selected a .xls file. Now, as I said that we wanted to generate random questions, and that is why I have imported the random file. Now, here's something amazing for this. This is a request which is specifically meant to upload the exam transcript and the exam video that is being recorded to a specified URL, to a specific website. And that is why we have used the requests library from Python. The CV2 is a computer vision library, and that has been used to record videos essentially. So CV2 is a computer vision library for so that I can access the webcam of the student. Now, if there is an exception in certain cases, then we have used the SYS, which is for catching all the exceptions. Now, this is a multi-threading based application, and I'll tell you the reason why I had to multi-thread this application, and that is why I have imported a threading library, which helps my to give a multi-threaded system. I'll just tell you in a few minutes why it is a multi-threaded based application. So here we come to the first class, which is a video recorder class. The video recorder class is essentially meant to obviously record video, as the name suggests. Now here I have a few functions. One of them is start video recording, which obviously starts recording video. So for that, I have created an object. And from the CV2 library, I have used the video capture function. The zeroth argument is essentially meant for the webcam that we have. And then we have a video writer class, a video writer function. Now here, this is where I'll be writing my video to an MP4 file, which you can see I have used it over here. and the video recording would be stored over here. The 640 cross 480 is the dimension of the screen that would appear to me. I'll just run it in a few seconds and you'll know. And that is how the output is being shown. Now, while true, now this is an infinite loop. So I'll loop it infinite times so that it continuously captures the video. It would stop recording the moment the exam has ended. And that is why I've used this function. Now, this is a kind of a static variable if you are from a CSE background. If you are not from a CSE background, this is a variable which is common to the class question, which I have coded just a few lines down. And if it is one, which essentially means that the question, the examination has stopped. If it is zero by default, which means that the examination is still in progress, and therefore you would still end up in this looping procedure. We are writing this frame. Now, if you want to stop writing this to the user so that the user isn't able to exactly see what he's doing or what is being recorded, then you can just comment it out and you would see the difference. Now, here's where once you end up with the break statement, that essentially means that you have to release all the memory that has been given. So essentially means that you would have to release the webcam, and that is why we have it over here. We have the output over here, which has to be released, and then we command and then we run the destroy all windows function, which essentially means that we would be destroying all the computer vision class objects. Now there is another class which is by the name of authentication. So this is essentially meant to authenticate that a student is actually logging in by his or her own credentials and not by someone else. So they are not doing anything. Now for this testing purposes, I have just used one person, which is by the username ABC and the password being test@1, wherein T is capital. If you want to further extend the project, you may include SQL connectors, which is quite a bit easy. You just have to include a 5 to 6 lines of code and that's it. And you might have a dynamic, a rather more dynamic code. This is essentially a bit static. You can say a partially dynamic as well, or a partially static, as you might wish to call it. The authentication is obviously to authenticate the user. The flag over here means that the user is verified or not. If the flag is still 0, then it essentially means that that the user isn't verified, and then we would display appropriate message. At this point in time, we aren't doing that thing. At this point in time, we are the moment user has logged in, is trying to log in and doesn't have the complete credentials, we are just showing them the actual credentials, because I just wanted it to show as a project perspective. If you want to still extend it, as I said, you can then extend it to sending messages, which again you might have to use some API for the same, and you are done and dusted with the task. The other is to verify the person. Now, this is the verification process. Now, before we get into the verification process, let me show you what exactly we are planning to do. We are taking a username and we are taking a password from the user. So that is why we essentially end up with these two things kind of, which is in the initialize function. So we have a tkinter window titled as ExamSense authentication, ExamSense being the name of the software. It has a height width of 850 cross 550. So those are the dimensions of the window. And here we have the text for the same, which is the username, fonts being Times New Roman and the font size being 24. You have, I've given them padding from X and Y, the side and the anchor essentially. The other thing is to have a password for the same. So here we have a password label and here we have an entry for the same. Now a label is wherein you just cannot, like, it just shows up at the screen. It just ends up showing at the screen. The entry is where a user can enter something. So where you see it as a username, it is a label. Where you see it as an entry, it means that the user can enter some value over there. So for that, you need a variable to store, right? And that is why this is the, I've used this variable name underscore get. Now, essentially, because it is a string and therefore I have to use a tkinter's variable, which is called a string where I have to call it. It is a function which gives me the capability to store it, to store a string in this way. So you can see I have to, like, this is just the syntax of it, text variable equals to, and then whatever you have given it the name here, because it's a class object. So therefore I have used the self, which is to point at that particular object and the name of the variable being name underscore get, which is pretty much obvious. At the end, I have a button over here, which is essentially meant to say login, which clearly means that I have to, if I have typed the password, type the username, I can log in. Now, as I said that I would have a few images, one or two over here, just to like make a GUI a bit more better. I don't say that it is the best, but still like it is still good to see. That is why I've used the image, and I have resized the image, and therefore you would see a bit of not a good image as well, because it's a PNG and not an SVG. If you want to try those things out, it's good for you. And here's to the things. Now, as I have said, these window.resizable, this essentially means that the user won't be able to resize the window. And this main loop is essentially meant to like run it infinite times until and unless you end up with some task. Now, the thing is that let's get on to the initialization phase of this, which is the constructor. So essentially, as I said, the variable would be marked with 0, which means that the user isn't verified. And then on the button click, on click of that button, what I'll be doing is that I would first be destroying every label and every button that is in front of you, so that you cannot make changes to that particular code, which essentially means that you would have to run it again the next time. Now I've just used a simple if statement. So if the name, as I said, it is now at this point in time very static, is equals to ABC and the password being tested at the rate 1, then you would be like going to see this one logged in successfully, and then you would be redirected in a second. And I've just put a few like formality kind of a text between the login window and the examination window. I've just put in a bit of a few moments to for the students to relax essentially, and that is why just a few fun over here that you are our Bahubali and they don't usually cheat, end up cheating, so that they know that they are actually proctored and things like that. And I have an image again of Bahubali for the same, which is again a fun thing to have. I've resized it over here as well, and I have put the labels and, as I said, the paddings are those way. Now you can give padding in multiple ways, one of them being that you can use it this way, which is the pad X and pad Y in the pecking order, you can say that. Or you might directly go up as a place function. You might use place function and give them as X and Y arguments. Both of them are equally fine, and both of them can get the job done for you. And if like the user hasn't logged in successfully, which essentially means that user has some incorrect credentials, that means that we would be setting the like displaying them that okay, you need to try again, and for trying again you need to rerun the code. Now if you want to extend this code, you can again code it that rather than showing please rerun the program again, you might just send them back to the authentication window. That's absolutely fine. And then we have just given them credentials, as I've just said, that it was just for the testing purposes, right? And this window would show up for just a second. Now this is where things get a bit difficult for certain people. So here's the after function. Now here the argument is in milliseconds, and therefore it is 1000, which essentially means 1 second. Now after 1 second, if there's nothing done, then the window would automatically be destroyed, meaning that the window would close up, right? And when the user has logged in, we would set the variable to 1, which is what we have done over here, which means that the user has been authenticated, and therefore next task would be to like go to the exam function, right? The questions would be coming in front of you, would be popping up in front of you. Now there are a few questions that I've scripted, and we'll discuss it just in a few seconds. Now here we have that the integer variable and the exam variable, both of them have been set to 0. The V is essentially meant to select which option that you holding. Now here I have kept a few rules, pretty simple rules, that if you have selected none of the options in any question, that means you haven't answered that question, that MCQ, then the code that I'm using in the text file, which is going to be uploaded to the URL, is 0. If you have selected the first option, it would essentially mean 1. If you have selected the second option, 2. If you have selected the third option, it's 3, and for the fourth option, it's obviously 4. Now here's the selection function, which essentially returns you like what exactly option have you selected, and that is why I've written it over here, commented out over here. In the initialization function, I have set it to int var. Just like you have a string var for accessing a string variable, you over here have a int var, which obviously means returning some integer variable to the same. And we have set the exam variable to 0. Now here it is the options. Now here's where we would be using like reading from the sheets that we have, that is the excel programming underscore python.xls, and we would be reading from the sheet. We have a few radio buttons over here. Now radio buttons are used essentially for just one purpose, that once you have selected one of them, the only option you have is to either unselect them or to change to some other variable. So for instance, if there are 4 options given to you, you can only select one of them or none of them. You cannot select multiple ones. If you want to do for multiple ones, you need to go for other checkboxes. And this is how we have done it. And we have a list of questions over here, which will be set in this list, which is just passed over here. Now here's another function, which is the start exam function, and I'll tell you why exactly we had to use that function. But let's go to the main. So now, as I have told you, that we have to authenticate the user and we have to initialize the user. Once the user has been authenticated, which means that the flag variable is set to 1, and then we delete the user's credentials because they are essentially not needed to us right now. If you want to extend it, you would be using it very judiciously. So if you would like to extend the project, please be careful. Now here's where it where it's actually starting to get interesting. We have 2 threads. The first thread is going to start your exam, and the second thread is going to start recording the video, right? And that is why you have the t1.start and t2.start. So we have a few functions over here, and that is how you use it. So target is essentially used for that purpose, to call a specific function. You can just write target equals to and then your function, so which is the start exam function. Now let's go to the start exam function. As I said, it is meant to start the exam for the user. Now here I have given the location of my Excel file. Here it is the workbook that I should open, and the sheet number is 0. If you have some other sheet to mention or to open, you would have to write the number over here. And then I have created the tkinder object, and I have given it the title as exam sense. And then I would just make a set of it, so that set of the number of questions, so that every time it's a random question, and because it's a set, repetition isn't allowed. And therefore at the end of it, whenever the length of this set would be equals to 3, I would end up with a unique question set. And so I have a few questions over here, which are essentially question objects, and then I'll be calling them. So I've randomly generated over here with the use of random function. I've generated random questions, and then I've added it to set. And if the temp has been like, temp is another variable where it's the length. Now if the length of the new set, which is just added, is different from the last set, that was like the set before adding elements, then we'll add this set, then we'll just add it to the list of questions that we have, and we'll increase the count by 1. Once we are done with this while loop, we end up with the button, which is the submit button for the same. And the command function is used to use like just like we have the target function, the command is used to call this specific function when this button is pressed. So we have an on submit button, and we are just packing the button at our place, right? And I've again not allowed the user to resize the window. And now just we had the after function. So again over here I am going giving them 3 minutes for 3 questions. Now if I end up after 3 minutes, again it would be this lambda function, which is the on submit, which is going to be clicked. So either you click the submit button or you wait for 3 minutes, and then in either cases you would end up submitting the question set, submitting the answer sheet to the user. And this is the main loop, so it essentially means that it would be an infinite loop for the same. Now let's have a look at the on submit function. Over here we have an on submit function, which essentially means that the exam variable has been set to 1, which means that the exam is over. So whether you have pressed the submit button or 3 minutes have passed, in either cases submit button has been pressed, which means, or essentially it means that the submit button has been pressed, and which means that your examination is over. We translate every question and every option that you have selected to the test function, which is in the write mode, which has been opened in the write mode, and the encoding has been set to UTF-8. And then we essentially write via the list of questions and the list of options that you have selected. Now, mind you that we had a 0 to 4 kind of a convention, where 0 means that you haven't attempted the question, and 1 to 4 mainly meaning that 1 was for option A, B means option 2, C means option 3, and D means option 4. And then we are closing the text file. Then I've created a URL object. Now this is a URL which is right now dead. At this point in time when the project was up and running, it was running. So at that point in time I was uploading that this file to the URL. For that I have used the requests.post function, wherein I have given the URL as an object, and the files have to be passed as a dictionary, wherein read in terms of binary is the open mode for the same, and the same file which I've just created is going to be written. And with that we also have another file which has to be uploaded, which is your video that has been recorded, again in read binary terms, and that video which has been recorded would be uploaded over here, and this would destroy essentially the question paper that is in front of you. Now till now we have discussed everything about questions and authentication. We haven't discussed two things. One is what if there is an exception, and the second is how would we actually start recording video. So first let me bring you to the exception class, which would be if there is any exception occurring, then we would be showing it as an exception, which essentially means that then you would be able to take a screenshot and send it to us whenever we go live or things like that, or to this particular website. When it was up and running we were doing it. Now we have removed that part of the code. So for that we have used the geometry. Again, 750 cross 550 is the diameter, is the size, sorry, not the diameter. And then we have a few usual errors or exceptions that we end up, like one is file not found, which essentially means that you don't have the Excel file, or you don't have these JPGs. Then we have to use this, or there might be some programming error happening, or there might be some operating system error happening, which means that some operating system is behaving not as per our expectations. And so we have those specific order types, error types, sorry, not order types, and we have just displayed them over here. And again, it would be up and running for 10 seconds, and then it would destroy itself again, which is used by the after function, and it is main loop. So again, essentially it would run into an infinite loop for till 10 seconds. Let's go to the start video function. Now this is simple. We have created the object of a video, and we have just called the start video recorder, which essentially does the task for video recording. So let's run this code and see what happens. So here's the authentication window. Now, mind you, here we don't have any after function, so it would run till infinite period of time. We just don't have that much amount of time. So let me just dive into. Now at this point in time, I'm just typing the exact credentials. So I am able to log in, and you see this exam sense authentication. So what is the return type of printf? Now at this point in time, you can see these errors. It is essentially because I'm recording my this video, this YouTube video with the same camera. As I have put the code link in the description via GitHub, you can use it. And if you'll run it, then once you import all these libraries, then you would be able to run it very easily, and it would be up and running. So you won't face these kind of errors at this point in time. So what is the return type of printf? We all know it's integer. The extension of C code is .c, and then is created. C, let me just submit. Now what you see is that certain times it might not respond. The reason being that at that point in time, it is creating the text file and it is uploading it to the website. At that point in time, there is no communication between the code and the GUI which is running, and therefore certain times it might end up being not responding, but you don't need to worry about it. There's nothing much more serious in those tasks. So let's have a look at what my test.txt has to show. Now, as I have typed integer, which is the right answer, I have given a ended up with 4 because it was the fourth option. Dot C is 1. Who created C is 1, which is Dennis Emrici. At this point in time, I only have 10 questions and I'm allowed to show only 3 of them. Even in the GitHub file that I've uploaded, there would be only 3 which would be displayed. If you want to extend it, you also would have to import the scroll bar, which is like this part of the game, and if I'll run it again so that you can see that there is a different set of question. However, there's also a probability, very, very, very less probability, but still it exists that the questions might exactly be repeated. But again, as I've said, that we are generating a random question, you might end up with obviously 1 or 2 questions very less. If you increase the number of questions, as the probability says, the chances of having the same questions would obviously be deducted. So file handling is supported in C. Just a second, let me just close this up. Is supported in C? Yes, it is. We have the dot C and we have the dot H. Now, mind you, the dot C was again the same question, but as we have, these were the 2 different questions. Because we only have 10 questions, I have said it again, if you increase the number of questions, you will end up with more, uh, less probability for the same. So yeah, that was all from my side. You can find this code link in the description, and I have a few suggestions also added in this video itself. If you want to extend this project and show it, it's a bit of a cool project to have at least a college level, or if you want to display it to even in your interviews and things like that. It's a very basic level code, but you still might have a pretty decent code if you would be able to extend it, or even at this very point in time, it is still a decent code. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel.